at the Chalet DaLat, which is my favorite breakfast place. And look, there's hot Vietnamese coffee with condensed milk. So, I'm not going to stir too much. And we're gonna check and see if we're live on Twitter. And I'm just gonna put it down for a second. So, let's get up to speed. There is lox and goat cheese on toast, which is a variation of, a Montreal standard for us Montrealers. It's lox and cream cheese on a bagel. But they don't, well, here at the Chalet they don't make bagels, but you can. I have had lox and cream cheese in Phu Quoc. So it is possible in some parts of Vietnam. So let me just get my dose of coffee. Zowie. Okay, might have to order a second one. So I don't see my broadcast on Twitter, so I'm just going to log out of Twitter and try again. Maybe I'm only on YouTube. That's also a possibility. I might have disabled the feed to Twitter. I might have disabled the feed to Twitter. That's quite alright. I was catching up on world news, and I heard that Jeff Beck died of meningitis peacefully at home with his family. I liked Jeff Beck. He was a good guy from that era of, where guitarist heroes. Good morning, Chris. Just taking a break from replays to watch live. Yes, I think it's better. So I was talking about Jeff Beck, who, was with the Yardbirds, and I didn't see any notice for Twitter. I think I might have disabled it because I was having, I thought I was having issues with multicasting. So I thought I'd just, see if I could do one at a time, how good that was. Because I also checked on Twitter, and we're not there. So apparently we're on YouTube Live, but I'll go in and fix it on that phone. It's the 13. I'm not talking very loud. I'm the only person here. How is the audio? Do I need to up it for conversation? So there's a lot of asshole that they weren't assholes at the time, but you found out that they were assholes. I'm talking about, yes, you, Eric Clapton, asshole. There were a few people that were backstabbing on their way up, to rock God's status, and Jeff Beck was not one of them. He's just a good guitarist, and he died, and that's sad. And I liked him, and that's all I have to say on that. So, let's look at what just arrived. Yes, look at this. So, I ordered two things. I ordered the 3 egg fried, and this is what it comes with. A little slivers of cucumber, yellow tomatoes, and this is French baguette toast. But it doesn't end there. No. I also ordered smoked salmon on goat cheese and toast. So we'll see how it goes. Now the thing is that I like pepper on everything, so we're going to go and search. Oh, it's okay, not much sound around you, so you can hear me fine. Hi, can I have pepper? And yeah, because they're just napkin setters. Thank you. So they combine the pepper with pink Himalayan salt. That's okay, but I just like the pepper part. Okay. So it looks like I'm getting more pink Himalayan salt than I am pepper. So this is how we roll in the Shire, I guess. Yeah. This is another thing I realized. Traveling gives you one hell of an appetite. One hell of an appetite. I always cut with my right hand. Have you ever noticed there's certain people that like are a little too keen in observing you when you're using your utensils? I remember a follower, a Periscope follower, that kind of noticed, like, sometimes you switch hands, I don't know, because you want to eat with their fork, but you want to cut with your right hand knife. I might have absentmindedly done that, and then there's somebody that quick to catch it, and then they actually couldn't help themselves and comment, what is wrong with those people? Who are like looking, oh, is he going to make a utensil faux pas? Is he going to pick up the wrong utensil? He's not one of us. I found the reverse when I was in Paris. About utensil people, it's fixed. It's like, no, you must eat with your left fork because you cannot switch. You can't. Ça se fait pas. Can't say I had. Okay. Well, it reminds me, sorry, talking from my mouth full, but my omelet or my eggs are fresh. Reminds me of a friend who was working in the Midwest in Minnesota. And he was working in the Minnesota State University system, but he was also fielding applications for private universities. No, I mean about hunger. Okay. It's good that you're helping me along because we do try to, move on, and then next one. Okay, I'll try and finish the story. So he went to this Jesuit private university, and they had really old antique furniture, a whole boardroom for a banquet, and that was part of his interview. And when I'm saying religious, this was the late 80s, but culturally you couldn't say things like HE double hockey sticks, in conversation with certain people. And, you couldn't admit to having a little reefer, or, you know what I'm trying to say. So this was a private and Jesuit. So all of these academians that were on the interview, they're all trying to make subtle, little things where you could fall into a trap and reveal yourself. Yes, I know, LOL. By the time you see my comments, the subject has changed. Okay. So he gets invited to dinner, I guess because they don't do interviews that much, and it was all of this, polished silverware cutlery, and they were all in the same thing. And what was interesting, there were several people around the dinner table, the banquet table. Not a single one of them picked up a utensil when they were served dinner. They were waiting for him to pick it up to see if he would pick up the right one or the wrong one. Because generally, from my understanding, is that the first course is you work from your outside in. So it's that's how the table should be set. But I'm not sure if there are little variations to that theme. But that's a little subtle thing that, real snobs will try and lay in a trap and see, does he choose the wrong fork? And therein lies, he's one of us, or no. Anyway, I think it's funny, and that's where it comes with people that are looking at other people's table manners or lack thereof, or implied lack, not implied, but saying, oh well, because he did this, that must mean he's a feral animal or something. He was raised by wolves. I dislike people like that. I just do. Mm-hmm. All right, so we have more people here.
You can like.
Wait a minute. That's one of our hosts that's walking in the purple. Oops. In the purple pullover. Seems very nice. So, yeah. Yes, by the time I see your comments, we have changed the subject. So guess what? I fired up Instagram yesterday. Like, I don't use it when I'm at home because, A, I think Facebook is inherently evil. And yeah, you too, Google. You're included. But, and for that reason, that's why I rarely activate my Instagram account. But everybody we know is on Instagram, you know, especially from the Periscope people and stuff and like that. So, you know, some people have like dropped Twitter completely, but they're still on Instagram. So yeah, I was, the view from my window reminded me of Scott Whitman's Cusco, his little place in Cusco when he would like film out his window. And so it made me think of him again. And then I know that he was thinking of leaving Peru for Vietnam and or Thailand and or Southeast Asia, and he has. So I think he's in Chiang Mai now. So I was able to find that out from Instagram. So I sent him a little shout out from like. So oh my god. Okay, so this is my smoked salmon on toast with avocado, and so it's more like a deconstructed Lachs und well, it's on goat cheese, so it's not cream cheese. It's Lachs und cream cheese and dragon fruit. So luckily we can have that as cold, right? Oh, wait a minute. There we go, one time. Okay. So we can have that. You know what? I should take a photo. Get the salt out of here. Get the label out of there. How do we do this? Okay, like that. Ding ding. There we go. And I should post that on Instagram, shouldn't I? Let me get the camera back out. Enough about that. Back to me. So yeah, let me finish my eggs while they're warm. So I know there are good things in eggs, and there are good things in salmon. Actually, that's not a lot of salmon. It's just like two little slivers draped on. It should make the millennial kids, they just are nuts about avocado on toast. It's like, okay, avocado on toast. That's Instagram. Thank you. I thought so. I looked at that and I said, Instagram. But really, I only fired it up last night after months because I don't necessarily do. Because the moment you fire it up, then Facebook opens up its little dossier and going, he's doing stuff, and we're there to record all of it, and all of his contacts, and all of his friends, and their little dog too. So that's why I don't fire it up. But I was able to send Scott a hello from DaLat, and he had his apartment view from his place in Chiang Mai, which is on my list of places to see, but not this time around. Like, if I ever return to Southeast Asia, and maybe if Burma opens up again, I'd love to go back. All right. So tell me about Toronto and the winter so far that I've been missing. Please, cheer me up. I think salmon is my favorite fish. Is that right? I like it too. I don't like avocado though. Well, I'm not like millennial nuts about avocado. I don't like bruised and mushy avocado. That's where I draw the line. But I have done a couple of things with avocado. It's just I could take it or leave it, to tell you the truth. Yes, millennials. I just said something criminal, and you can what is it when you get banished from? Yes, you can banish me. I don't care. Anyway, the egg is doing its job. I think it has certain nutrients. So this is a 3-egg omelet. I think salmon's okay. Yeah. And yeah, avocado has a particular fats, right? They're vegetable fats, and in good measure, it's also healthy for you. So, what are you gonna do? And it's on toast, which is you're supposed to get a pass. If you get avocado on toast, you get a millennial pass. Good. Yeah, didn't hit you so bad since I live streamed the easternmost area of what is the Greater Toronto Area. I guess I missed your stream. I might have been busy. I could actually then go and watch the restream like you were doing before you saw me on the live. Just between me and you, it kind of feels like supposedly there's another storm coming this weekend. There's always another one, right? There is. When I come back in March, there might be one or two, and then we'll get to the edge of May and think we're all clear, and I'm just about to make an appointment to get my summer tires on, and boom, there's another one that's gone in a day or two. Okay. Thank you. I didn't say live stream. Okay, sorry. It's been quite mild here. Since I live the eastern. Okay, yeah. My brain did filled in words. My brain did an autocorrect on your screen, thinking that's what you were saying because we're in like travel live stream mode, and it does that. But I catch it. I didn't catch it this time. Maybe because the writing's so small on my iPhone mini. But normally, my internal dialogue will read something like autocorrected, and then my visual aspect will say, no, that's not what you read. Stop butting in. That's what it says. And it's like a funny mental thing that happens. It takes like a second and a half for correction, but it's initial where your brain wants to go there, and then you say, hold on hold the phone. No, that's not what's written there. Live streaming on the brain, I get it, yeah. So, like yesterday, I would say it was a good day. And what I mean by that is I woke up early, and I took my rental bike, and I got here with my rental bike because it was like 7 a.m.-ish traffic, which was quite busy, but I was able to manage. And like what I mean by traffic is that they have traffic circles here in Montreal. There are not that many of them, so they take a certain amount of getting used to. And actually, I'm learning a lot of the flow of the roads by being on by hiring Grabs. Yesterday, I hired a lot of Grabs, but the morning I got here on my own, steam, because it's not a major city, and the traffic doesn't go very fast, which is good, because you can be in trouble if you're a stranger, and so yeah, I want a bit of both. Like I want to be able to hire a motorbike cab to get me to places fast, so I can do like 10 things in a day. that's possible. But I also like to go on my own steam because after certain hours, you can get around on your own if you want to. So it started off early. Hey MJ, how's it going? I didn't notice you came in because I'm on my phone. It's tiny for these eyeballs. Check out. So this is lox for the millennial on a lot of avocado and goat cheese on toast, as opposed our Montreal standard, which is lox on cream cheese and a bagel. So yeah, I was just hanging out with Chris here, who's from Toronto, and I just finished an omelet, and I was telling him my routine about getting around and how yesterday was a good day, and how I find any excuse to go up live, but a lot of it also has to do with just getting my equipment to work with the platforms and work with Prism, and I might have disabled the multicast to Twitter in this instance, so I know now to go and fix that, and it's a long-winded explanation, and hey, I'm having breakfast. It needs, yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, no, I'm not, like Chris said, I'm not so crazy about that much avocado. And I'm spoiled. I get a lot of smoked salmon on, cream cheese and a bagel with little salty capers. And actually I got a really decent one in Fuquoc. It was a German lady who opened up a restaurant in Fuquoc. And yes, the research that her place was called Bagels and Eggs, and I helped myself to a salmon and cream cheese on a bagel, made in Vietnam. It's pretty good. I was going through my history. When I was a Periscope user, when you retweet somebody's live, for whatever reason, it ends up in your timeline, in your media. And so there are a couple of you holding up like pigs in a blanket or things of that nature, where on your many meals that you've live streamed. So I was going back to find that post of that puppet thing performance that I did, and then I scrolled a couple of ones that have that screenshot of MJ holding up something or other that he's eating, and so it's funny that at least because those replays are gone, but at least the screenshots of whatever it was at the moment that you retweeted is there. I know all about stream to 5 platforms typically. Yeah, I gather. I know your a Taiwan TV live show. I also hate it when I miss comments. Okay, I think I can enlarge the text on my iPhone 13 mini and bold them. I think they're bolded, but I think I have like 2 extra increments of enlarging it, because then I gonna have to do, no, too close. Step away from there. But luckily, I still have my 6S Plus, which I had a new battery put in just recently, and it's doing great. We did some testing, and it's holding up, and it's great. What the thing about you can't see people's comments on Twitter live if you're multicasting, so you can at least go into your own broadcast and you don't miss your good friends that don't know the difference, and then they're saying he's ignoring me, and yeah, so man, is DaLat a lovely surprise. I didn't realize how much I really like DaLat as a destination. I like the climate here. I like the local to tourist ratio, and I love the architecture. I think I could live here. Just saying. Yesterday I had a very good Mexican meal. Actually, it's an expat from Texas who owns the place. He has 2 live parrots in as a feature of the restaurant, and so it's authentic Mex-Tex cuisine. And I ordered 2 types of. I ordered an initial burrito plate, and then I ordered a nacho plate because it made me nostalgic when I toured Central America for the first time, which was Honduras and Guatemala and a little bit of Mexico. And one of my go-to orders would have been pollo nachos, but I just ordered regular nachos with jalapenos and stuff. It was fun. It was great, and I love eating different ethnic foods. Just to switch things up a bit. It's a long explanation, but. Okay, so this I don't like. They include peppercorns with salt, and I'm a pepper guy, not so much with the salt. But what can you do? You go with what you have. It's going to be cooler in Taiwan. Well, I have my down jacket. It's perfect for DaLat. Perfect because even if it's cold, but before the sun comes up or after it goes down, and there's a certain wind factor. Even with something like this, that little down jacket is perfect, and I assume it's going to go great in Taiwan. And I have like other layers that I can do, and I also have like footwear with tread on it, and it also, if it gets wet, it has a way of evaporating. So I think I'm pretty well equipped. It's pretty low. That's with the news and people saying just you wait, because but I guess it hasn't happened, like the whole like, oh my God, they're here. I remember being in Vietnam in 2020 in Hanoi at the time, and that was when the border was closed to the neighbors up north. And so there were some instances where you did get some that had just arrived, and it was interesting how the cultural difference looks nice. Actually, one shot over the city you did a day or 2 ago reminded me of the south of France. Is that right? Oh, that might have been when I arrived. And to me, it reminded me of Cusco. There's a guy called Scott Whitman who was living in Cusco for several years, and he had this cute little apartment view of the hills and all of the thing, and I actually sent him a shout out today. Well, I did some editing. Like sometimes you think, oh, I might need this, and then you overpack, and then you end up actually hurting. I packed so that I wouldn't kill my back getting my luggage from vehicles between, where it is you have to go. And so I think I did better editing this time around. And there's always the option of buying a bigger suitcase if you buy tchotchkes. But I don't have a tendency to overload on tchotchkes. Every now and then, the last time I think I bought some really nice tabletop bronzes that were probably, I know they're reproductions of like little museum pieces, but they're like good quality ones, and they were probably made maybe in the 60s, but not necessarily, they might have been then found their way into an antique shop, which is then, of course, you can legally buy these and leave the country with them. You're not buying an antique as such. So I really enjoy those things because I had 2 places on a antique dresser with a mirror, and I needed something to put on the 2 side things. And so I'm running out of space, so I can't really pick up too many tchotchkes. But little I might hold out for a set of like bronze weights. For you have a scale and you have like an ounce, and you have. I've seen some antique ones that were overpriced in Burma, and I didn't buy because I don't believe in overpaying for things. But if you look around hard enough, you might find things. So I might find something in lacquerware or something, and I'll be able to slip it in my luggage, and it'll be fine for the wear. In terms of tchotchkes, souvenirs, you tend to go for quality over quantity. Yes. Yes, except that you remember Gal in the City, Chris? She would like come in and whine about how she was not a well woman, and that she would just like take over everybody's broadcasts. Gal is here, and in fact, she wasn't always Gal. She was Mo before, but I guess she used up her welcome in a lot of places that she got banned. And then she had to reinvent herself, but her behavior didn't change. And she would come in, and it was like a stalker, and she would like take screenshots of my my live streams and then republish them into Twitter, and then that would like apparently ingratiate her, and she would get special privileges. So then she dropped it. She gave me a mission. It says like, I must buy her a kitchen magnet, a fridge magnet. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like creepy weird. And then I noticed her. She would come into other people's broadcasts and then stop the conversation. Gal is here, and now you've got to do everything like she wants you to do. Oh, and she would admonish me if I would use words like, okay, boomer. Oh my God. She would go complain to Euromeister and say, oh no, he used okay boomer. Oh, such a terrible guy. And then to my face, she would like say something completely different. It was just strange. Yes, I saw you replay when you rant. Okay. All right. So yeah, I get triggered by certain people. Please don't remind me. She would also give DM. Yeah. Exactly. So we know of who. So luckily there aren't that many of them, because my God. Bad behavior should not be rewarded. And especially those that say, oh, well, I'm not well, so I get a pass, right? Yeah. So I'm sure she's still around, and, I better look out. Anyway, but so how I deal with it, I turn it into an entertainment bit of fun where I can get, I can feel better by putting in little digs and stuff. So she became a source of entertainment, and I did buy a fridge magnet, but it wasn't for her. I call her today. Well, yes, because that was before Karen's actually existed. Because it was during the pandemic. It was that famous woman in Central Park who had her dog off that leash and tried to have somebody canceled. For saying she felt in danger. She commented on your glass. Lady, look, up your medication, something, but get some manners. It was like extreme bad manners. And then, oh yeah, but I got an excuse. I'm not a well woman. No, you're just a bad mannered, expletive. She's on. Go to. So no, I don't use that platform, and no. Well, the thing is that at some point I let her have it, and so what she did was, and I have a screenshot of. She said she sent me a rant in a DM, and then she banned me, so I couldn't answer back or whatever. And I think, good, I don't get to see you anymore. Good riddance type of thing, But yeah, the thing is that she got her digs in, and then she had the last word, I guess, in her little mind. So it's interesting because I've seen her in Dave's broadcast and take over the whole thing, and then use like, I'm not a well woman, and Dave had, I guess he was well brought up. He just lets her go, but no, you can't do that on people's broadcasts, and well, in my doing, get away with it. Not on a level that she was doing things of that nature. So we're going to give our salmon, and you know what? We're going to excuse the avocado for this one bite, and we're going to just look at Spanish onion or radish. I think it's radish, and a little bit of the smoked salmon. Mm-hmm. It could use a little bit of, it could use capers. So if I have to have a word with the chef, I would say add well-sourced capers to your meal, because the smoked flavor from the salmon is there. It's just missing that saltiness that you can get from capers. Okay, so yeah, somehow I'm feeling good about being able to rant about, something, and then the both of you know exactly of what I'm referring to, so I don't have to go into too long an explanation. It goes without saying, as they say. So we're gonna try it with the. The toast is good. It's like a pumpernickel, and it's quite nice. Okay, give this a try. I hope it won't fall. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is an amazing breakfast place, and it's across the street from. It's got a place called. It's a hotel, but it's also like an architectural expression of whimsy called the Crazy House Hotel. I don't know what it is, but there are always people who seem to exist to criticize others. Well, before you came, I was talking to Chris about people that observe other people to see if they make faux pas. They'll pick up the wrong utensil. If you have a fish fork and a dessert fork and a grapefruit spoon. And I was telling about a friend who was up for a job at a private university in the Midwest in the late 80s. And it was like a Loyola, Jesuit private institution. And he was invited to a formal dinner, being the guest of honor. And nobody picked up a utensil when dinner was served until he did. And it was just to find out if he would pick up the wrong fork or the wrong something or other. And I'm going, who does that? Who really does that? But actually I've had people, who cannot resist saying, oh, do you switch? There was one time when I switched my knife and my fork, because if you cut with your right but you like to also eat with your right hand and a fork, that is a thing apparently, but you're not supposed to do that in I don't know, those etiquette schools that if you don't do this, then you're not part of the club. Anyways, those people. So we were talking about that before you came in. So yes, just pulling your leg. Sorry, Chris. Okay, let me scroll back to the comments. Yeah. Our friend Dave in Osaka has been targeted at least by 2 other live streamers who've decided he's their arch enemy. Okay, here's the thing. We all know the crazy man on the roof, right? And we kind of know some of the drama he's created. There was this blogger, Bo Peep, something or other, Boop Pop from London. And I did not know this, and I don't think the regular viewers knew that. I believe that Crazy Man on the Roof is married with a daughter, who's at least 7 or something. And he was kind of using the social media to hit on, women. And then there was that famous meetup where they met up and it went disastrously wrong. And then she became enemy number 1 and he started trashing her. And then people said, no, you don't do that. Crazy old man on the roof. Anyway, for some reason he got it in with he would say things about people. Oh, Jimmy Fallon, what a phony. Oh, he's so not funny. He doesn't deserve the night show. So he has an opinion. Right, okay. Hilarious. And for some reason, I don't know if it's jealousy or whatever, but he took to attacking Dave
online, and then it becomes where people are close or friends with Dave, and then they either say, okay, old man on the roof, I'm never coming back to your thing. You've used up all of your courtesy passes. So it was strange, but I remember like Dave and I having asides, because I would occasionally check in for the entertainment value, not necessarily do, engage. Although that guy comes from my hometown. He was raised in Montreal before he ended up moving to New York and becoming a soccer agent. But yeah, there are people that I guess that are fabulists, that love to create some kind of story around them, even though it's based on falsehoods. But they're good at what they do. So yeah, and I think there's a lot of fallout from that thing, where I guess certain people who were there to see the mistreatment and yet somehow remained on friendly terms. And I think Dave kind of said, you know what, I'm cutting off what's negative, and I'm just, not looking back, which is totally understandable. It's funny how we can rehash stuff from the past, but it's still pretty, I guess there's still some unresolved stuff going on. Yes, right. So let's think of the future, and so let's see what flavors we get. It's good salmon. And the avocado's not bruised, so I have to say, it's also good. It's not incredibly mushy. I don't like mushy. Okay. It was draining. Exactly. I just want to say I had this amazing Christmas brunch. At the table seated next to me were a couple from France that had come from Nepal. She got bit by a mosquito and came down with dengue fever, and they had plans to go up trekking, but instead she had to get better, and they stayed in the jungle area. I think for a future full of goodies. Yes, that was my my raison d'être is to eat my way through Southeast Asia. And I think I'm doing pretty good so far. I'm not going to say mission accomplished, but I think MJ is going to help me out on the Taiwanese end of that. And I was going on about this French couple. They were amazing. Oh man, I woke up this morning to find Jeff. I know. I found out last night. I liked Jeff Beck. I mean, there were a lot of assholes. That you didn't really find out how much of an asshole they were until much, much later. Yes, we're talking about you, Eric Clapton, but there were others. They all knew each other. Rod Stewart, Jeff Beck, and there's some really good gentlemen, rock stars that are deserving of carrying that mantle, and Jeff Beck was certainly one of them. And goodbye Porcupine Hat, Blow by Blow. I just liked him. And I think he came down with meningitis, but I think he had a complete life, and he didn't have a lot of, I guess, like dark events or mistakes that said, oh yeah, but you did that and you did that. So it's not like, I don't know what could have happened if he had 20 extra years time to think, but it's kind of sad that, when they're no longer with us, it's like at least they're still with us with what they've accomplished and what they've done. And the same thing, like people like Anthony Bourdain, where people are still not over the fact that, he committed suicide. And it's like, for me in my Vietnam quest, it's like, you ask yourself, what would Anthony do? Order something to eat, I guess. And Todd Rundgren, he's wait a minute, Todd Rundgren, isn't he the guy who raised the Aerosmith singer's daughter? I think he's a good guy, right? He's not the catch fever kind of guy. He's the opposite. We're talking about gentlemen rock stars, because I'm not familiar with Brad Dett. Well, maybe the name doesn't mean anything, but I might be familiar with his music. And I'm glad that you're here, because you can if I have any doubts about where it is I might be going. He was still in his prime. Okay. Yeah, my best friend growing up taught himself how to play guitar, and he learned from playing records, and I think they started with Creedence Clearwater Revival, moved on to Neil Young, and then moved on to people like Jeff Beck and things of that nature. So I've never had any musical instrument playing abilities, but I did act as roadie when we would have to hitchhike a few towns over with the amp and the guitars and stuff and meet the band. Okay. Oh, yes. Yes, okay, now, yes, because I saw your post and on YouTube and your remix. Okay. But I didn't know him by name, but of course I'm familiar with. Yeah, when Boston came out, that was like groundbreaking in that effect. I mean, the only other real big names at the time were like Pink Floyd and like if you went into like progressive esoteric areas, you would be like Peter Gabriel, whatever he was doing after Genesis. So yeah, when Boston came out, and Kansas also at the same time. I don't know if the timing was just that what it was, but the way that Kansas album was produced was also like, whoa, where did that come from? And man, does that sound good. Okay. But I remember, I think it was a Rolling Stone article that broke down the whole backstory. We might talk about this more in depth when I actually meet up. But it was a long, like they had to erase the master tapes, or they had to do it over and over again until it was right before it got released. Or otherwise, it just wasn't going. They were from the future. Okay. Yeah. Well, that explains it. That's why wormholes actually exist. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. So I didn't know what to expect, but the smoked salmon on goat cheese on toast with the thick layered avocado, a good choice. Yeah, it's like you said, a good fats ratio. Yes, I can already feel it working in my bloodstream, which is, it has a way of affecting a person's mood. So yeah, this is pleasant, hanging out for breakfast and just having a little conversation, even though I have to kind of get way too close to the screen to read what's on the chat. But I guess you guys won't hold it against me. If I was on my other phone, I wouldn't have to do that so much. Enough of that, though. Yeah. So, I have a couple of more days here in DaLat, and I'm probably just gonna do like what's there to do in the DaLat search. So far, I've done pretty good. without having to dive too deep. And we're the I think we're the 12th today. So there's the 13th and the 14th. Oh wait, let me check and see the date. We're the 12th, yeah. So I'm leaving for Ho Chi Minh on the 15th. So I've got today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow to see what DaLat. I think I'll probably return to DaLat, but I'm going to still visit more places in Vietnam. Thank you. About not hold against me. I'm not eating. My viewers ask me what's wrong. Oh, if you're not, you know, that would be, yeah, you could put that on your tombstone. What's wrong? Yes. Yeah, that's MJ. That's the MJ I know. So yes, that was my main reason for asking Dave how to get in touch with you, because seeing your lives back then, I said, well, if I ever get to Taiwan, I really would like MJ to just bring me to any place and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna eat something from here, and you're gonna like it. So getting back to that young French couple, they were so well brought up. You know, Dave has this thing where I mentioned something that happened to me about an interaction with British millennials. And the way it worked out, it was in a morning place. It was like a youth hostel that had a communal cafeteria. So this one millennial, she comes up to me. She has blonde hair. She's really pretty. She says, "Excuse me," in her posh British voice. We are going to grease back. Oh yeah. So she asks me to if I could lend her a pen, and I say in return, "Oh, I'm just going to look in my satchel. I think I have one in here." And she says to me, "Excuse me," like she didn't understand what I just said to you, and she's British. So I repeat, maybe in a louder voice or a different cadence, something or other. And again, it's like every fucking thing I said in that little short exchange of giving her my pen as a loan was like I had to repeat it 2 or 3 times. I'm thinking, okay, so I'm finishing my breakfast, I have my iPad or whatever, and then I got to start my day, and then I realized, oh, that's my flow pen. It's not like an ink and ball pen. It's one that it almost writes like a fountain pen. And I had this other pen that's like a ballpoint that I hated using. And I'm thinking, oh, I gotta leave. I gotta ask for my pen back. So she went back to her group. There were about 6 or 7 of them. So I get up, I get my stuff, and then I go to their table and I say, pardon me, I lent my pen to one of you. I couldn't remember, who she was. And then I get again, excuse me? And what was it? The point is, oh yeah, she asked me for the pen, but it wasn't for her. It was for a dude in her group. And then it goes ding ding. Oh, they figured, hey, why don't we ask the guy who's not a millennial, send over the pretty blonde, and say, you get to have a little pen. Guaranteed you got a pen. What else is he gonna do, right? But it was for the guy. And of course, I'm asking, so I have my exchange pen. I'm saying, if they really need the pen, you can have my shitty one. Didn't tell them that, but I want my good one back. So he does the same fucking thing. So I raise, my voice goes up like 2 decibels. Am I not speaking English? And they all kind of like, oh my God, we've angered the, and then they find the pen and there you go. And it was like they made a fucking scene out of it. So I just kind of, in passing, said I had this interaction with Brit, and Dave says, stop right there. I know exactly what you mean. I didn't have to tell him the story. I love that. I just love that. Sorry about the chat. Already told them you'll be coming. Oh, great. That's good to know. That's good. That means that there's a seat there, and we might even live stream it for the fun of it. Okay, so talking about this French couple, complete opposite, same age group, but really engaging. And they told me that they hired a foodie person in Hanoi to take them around to eateries. So they could try all kinds of stuff. But the other thing was that they could tailor their experience by saying, what don't you want to eat? And she was saying, I don't like stuff that are made out of tribes, intestines, and stuff like that. I know that you can have specialties and whatever, but not for me. Brain, tripe and stuff, just keep it out of like my selection and bring us. So they told me they had this really great experience being brought place to place by this foodie lady that's what she did as a service. And so I have her name. Oh man, well, it's the age set, this is the way that kids are raised these days, but it was even worse. I had an incident yesterday, which I turned into fun, where it looks like somebody who might be like a very young relative, like a Gen Zer, who was working in this crazy house, who was like in the cafe in the way back. And it was like pulling teeth to get a cold drink. And it would be like she was asleep because obviously, she had to be there but didn't want to. You should put really haughty Brit accent. Well, no, it's like... They were like, like that. So yeah, no, the problem wasn't me. I gotta practice on that, David Lloyd. Okay, yeah. So the thing is that there's a menu there. So I'm asking for either something. It's not the only cold thing was water, and like I said, it was I was disturbing her from her either her sleep or her phone, thing that they do. So I'm live streaming, and there's this rack of these very long knitted like caps, like the old timey sleeper toques caps. And there was this blue and pink one that Rabba, who's a Twitter friend of mine and on Heckle, she said, "Oh, I like that. Can you buy that for me? I'll pay you for it or whatever. I would like you to." So I said, "Sure. Why don't I ask how much it is first? Because that's the thing about Vietnam. You really can't assume anything about price. I have some other stories about that, but it's always smart to ask." So I go to the counter and I hold up the thing to say, what is it? And she rolls her eyes at me, and she doesn't, she goes back to her phone. And it's what the hell is that? So my live stream people are seeing this in real time, and they say, "Oh, okay, well, why don't you just walk out with it?" So I draped around my neck, and that's what I did. And then I just waited to see if somebody would go, "Excuse me, are you going to pay for that?" Yes. So I'm not going to say whether I did or not, because that would ruin the whole mystique of it. But we're going to leave it like Schrodinger's cat. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I turned it into fun. So that's the only way you can deal with these kind of lost in translation, lost in generational whatever. Because otherwise, you just end up, getting triggered, and you show ugly sides of yourself that you really shouldn't be put in a position to. So yeah, I turned it into fun. All right. I'm okay with certain Southern American accents, like the ones from the Carol Burnett show. Mama's House. Like, I'm not going to do it now. It's nice. It better when I channel it in the moment, because it ties into what we're being said. But like potatoes. If you're trying to do Irish, it needs more practice and other things of that nature. Oh look, there's a bee. At least it's a bee. Bees are nice. Wasps, not so much. Wasps are real assholes. I mean, really, they're real dicks in what they do. Anyway, so I'm enjoying my breakfast, hanging out with you guys. Same thing happened yesterday. Some viewers that I only came in to become friends with were on the last Vietnamese trip. And then after that was over and then Twitter died, they kind of like let go of Twitter and kind of sort of only peripheral got in touch. Exactly. Make humans. So they jumped into my breakfast live and I was able to reconnect and stuff like that. So it felt good. And that's how my day began yesterday. Anyway. So, yeah, you gotta make it humorous. Prior to getting here, I was in a resort area that is being developed. It's called Mouinier. And I have to say that my negative about it was that the Mouinier didn't have like the kind of coast where you could go onto the beach and then go necessarily swimming. You could go with a surfboard and other things, but it's more choppy. But they had a nice pool right on the beach, regardless, so you could swim in their pool. But it was humid, so if you had like electronics and you were there for longer than, let's say, 2 weeks, a lot of the internal stuff probably would have been corroded. So I'm so glad I left Mouinier for here in DaLat, which is like really, really nice mountain climate, a nice change from the overbearing humidity. But in contrast, Phu Quoc, which is even further south, but I guess because it's an island, it has like a whole breeze thing, and I was able to snorkel in the waters off Phu Quoc, which is nice. I had an idea that, I could upgrade my diving experience and take on a course for my advanced PADI, but there weren't enough students applying for the course, and they didn't have enough trainers. Like, I guess most businesses literally have just been active for like the last 2 months. Prior to that, like they had a lot of COVID type of sacrifices that needed getting made. And so there was no upgrading my diving skills in Phu Quoc. And even the snorkeling didn't really, it was like brown coral. And there was some fish, but brown coral, I've seen better. So I know that there's like water things in and around Taiwan, but I assume it's more like wetsuit water climate, and I'm not like a big person for cold water kind of things. I like tropical water. Yes, please, thank you. I'll take that. So I'm just mentioning it now. In case there is some interesting diving opportunities that I might go to a coastal place that's specialized, and let's say they have a particular wreck dive that you could do, or do it at night, or something to that effect. That might add a little bit of like extra fun in my trip. But I'm coming back for the whole month of February to Vietnam, so I could maybe check out Nha Trang or a few other places, or maybe even return to Phu Quoc. We'll see. Just I'm throwing it out there in case you happen to know about any kind of diving opportunities that Taiwan might have. Because all I have is TripAdvisor, and TripAdvisor isn't always necessarily forthcoming in very specific, you should do this. It all depends on who's contributing to it. Anyway. So, prior to going to Taipei, Green Island is similar to Grand Cayman. Okay, great. Yes. All right. Thank you. I'll look into that. I can let me just do a little screenshot of that, and then I can go revisit. I do a little bit of homework. So yeah, you were saying it was crucial that if I'm going to take the train from Taipei to, and I know it starts with an H, or I don't need to know the name right here and now. I'll learn it eventually. It's better, the earlier the better. So I'm thinking, okay, well then I don't want the place that I'm only going to stay for 2 nights, like a 45-minute cab ride, or like with traffic or something like that. So I thought I'd pick someplace close. I can get an MRT or MTR. Taiwan Strait is treacherous, okay, but the East Coast does have a few places. Green Island is quite nice. I'm glad to hear that. So I won't be running into any encroaching Chinese frogmen. I'm making jokes at the expense of, just because I don't know. I was having fun in northern Vietnam, and I shouldn't have said things like this on live stream, but I was flying my drone about 20 miles from the border, maybe even closer. Watercolor is not exactly the same, but water coral is not exactly the same, but coral is really amazing. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I guess just by putting Green Island in a search, and it's going to open up for me. So I will do that. That's my homework for the evening. And now I kind of lost track. Oh yes, so I wanted to choose a place where if I could get up at 5:30 in the morning because of the luggage thing. That way I'm on the train, and then I keep it as simple as possible so that I'm out to wherever it is I need to be early on, and then that way things can get rolling. So that was the way that I could do my little part in order to get my sorry ass from point A to point B, and then I've been to Grand Caymans, so I can compare it there. All right. I've been to a place called Roatan, Honduras, I heard about it when I was in Fiji, and that's where I got my PADI certification. So I did a lot of snorkeling around there, and I did many dives, and I was spoiled, even though the overfishing from some of these, international fishing trawlers did kind of have an effect on the fish population, the corals, in certain parts of Fiji, where I'm told it was much better. So I'm thinking, well, what I'm hearing is the Philippines, because there's so many little islands that are still untouched areas. So if I really do want to see some really beautiful untouched things, just think the Philippines, but it's really like out in the sticks. And yeah, that's what you need to do, go out in the sticks, but you will find. So that might be the next trip of when I'm kind of eventually going to really eat my way through Southeast Asia, eventually, as a bucket list kind of thing to do. Yeah, it's good work, something to look forward to. I'm not too concerned about missing out on stuff. Eventually I will get there. So I kind of like the fact that I know nothing about Taiwan, and it's bolstered by the fact that even you peripherally, somebody, and they can throw you a few, you've got this much time, just like earmark this, that, and the other thing, and you'll be good. And it looks like I'm getting way more than that on this trip. So yeah, I'm feeling fortunate in that, and so I'm not even like making any kind of expectations in my mind. I'm just gonna let it happen, and I think also this is the effect that DaLat is having on me. I am no longer halfway across the world. It's left behind. I can kind of have a vague picture of my car with a bit of snow on it. Maybe there's just a bit of like frost, and I know it's in its little parking spot. But I'm not too concerned. I've checked my phone, my 2 phones, because they pulled the SIM card out. What I can do is call my call answer. Nobody is called, which is normal for January and February. Nobody calls me in January and February. And if I don't tell them anything, they wouldn't even know I left the country, which is great. And I realized yesterday, being here, is that I really like where I live, and you know, identify not as a Canadian, sort of, yes, but it's more of a fact than a feeling or a thing, and really not as much as a Quebecois, but I identify as a Montrealer. That's how I see myself. And I really like leaving Montreal to realize how much I like that place. And I leave it at the perfect time when nobody's calling and it's a sucky part of the year, which is winter. So by the time I come back, it's March. There might be like that mild end of winter that's left that I can manage. So I really enjoy coming home after staying away for a while. I have a Google Photos album, drone panels you've made. Cool. I will share it with you. Yes, I'm on a Twitter group. They're mostly Australian. There's Drone Flyer Nick. There's, and I thought, you know, and Gilo from Hawaii just joined the group the other day, and they were helpful in getting me go with Restream and go with the DJI Fly for my Mini 2 and to get into PrismWorks. But I haven't tested it yet. I just got like all the working parts, and I need to like do it in the evening. I could have done it last night, but I decided not to. Look into that because I might be able to fly my drone in an outskirt part of the town here. You love Montreal. I have a nice story about. Yes, exactly. I'll hear it from the horse's mouth rather than the tiny little text that it becomes awkward. On my little phone over there. So I can wait for that. Yeah, Montreal's a great place. But really, you need to leave it in order to get an understanding of how good you have it. And I personally think that I've got it pretty good for a lot of reasons, which I will go into, but preferably in person. But I don't really need to. Just take me at my word. You know, the thing is that Montreal had a lot of losses after they had a political change, and a lot of people got out of Dodge. They left it and never came back, and then that void that was created. Things came out of it, like the comedy festival, Just for Laughs. We have the jazz festival. So we had all of these like summertime festivals that were made to attract like people to the city, because you know all the head offices moved from Montreal to Toronto, and you know all those hoity-toity homes in Westmount that got vacated by white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. And got replaced by Anglophone Jewish people who I guess might have had businesses, and they weren't going to leave because they didn't need to. And it wasn't like, I don't care that, you know, the French are, although they're great. So they became the de facto protectors of the English language in Montreal. And it's like, we've been losing Anglophones, been losing rights, you know, like services in hospital, you can only get French, and then you know, the asking to get, can I get that form in English, please? You know, I'm a taxpayer. Hello? It's like, why am I being treated as a second-class citizen? So the Jewish community is, in fact, the ones that are saying, hey, you know, why are you doing this to our school boards? Why are you doing this? We're paying taxes. We deserve, you know, representation. So the thing about Montreal is that you can be bigger fish in a smaller pond as opposed to being a smaller fish in a big pond. So it means that there's less like traffic. There's less like, I don't know. There's a better quality of life, I think, because there's not that much competition and not that much. You know, let's say housing costs in Toronto are like through the fucking roof. Also in Vancouver on the West Coast, but in Montreal it's still relatively, you know, it's not a hardship. So I have many reasons why I love Montreal, but I am starved for English conversation because a lot of English-speaking people I went to school with, were friends with as a youngster, they've all moved away. And, the only people I get to speak English mostly are my clientele, and they happen to be a lot older than me. I can't really chum or yuck around with them. So that leaves uses guides online. So that's how I keep my English conversation fresh with actual people. But I still love Montreal. And I kind of 90% of my clients are English speaking. So I guess they get the benefit of having somebody that, except for those millennials like, what did you say? I don't know. I can't even. It's just so strange. But yeah. Okie dokie. I need to work my way through my breakfast. So, AJ, so glad you came in. Really good salmon. That was a healthy choice. So, you were telling me that near where you live, one of your favorite places is a Thai place, and that is interesting. I've only eaten Thai once. I think it was 2 nights ago. Since I've been in Vietnam, and I know there are many instances where I can eat Thai, but I've eaten more Indian. Yeah, you need to get started. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but yeah. So I had. I had what's that noodle? That noodle dish. Deep. It's a name that escapes me. But yeah, there was tom yum, and there was the red curry and coconut milk, or the green curry. I like them both. And then there was like a noodle dish. It's a flat noodle, and they had some. I think it was a chicken one that I ordered, and it hit the spot. It was in a nice food court, but I stayed away because I kind of knew that if I was going to do a meetup with you, you would show me to your go-to Thai places, and I'm gathering that happens to be one of your favorite meal choices. And I know from watching John Sabot, yourself, Javon, Casper, that Taiwan is extremely diverse in many highly specialized cuisines, whether they're Japanese, whether they're Thai, or all parts of Asia. Yes, I live in Industrial Park, and there are tons of places that support local. So, on my quest, Kamun, hi. On my quest of eating my way through Southeast Asia, all this can be yours. Yes, I cannot. I'm started. Get you. Oh, my day started. Yes, I'm gonna look into DaLat, things to do, and but I need to see. Look, I cannot. The millennials would never forgive me. I would get put on their cancel list if I didn't finish my avocado on toast. So I'm taking my time, and I'm feeling. When you're on you're in a big city and you've got all of that stuff, it takes you a while to settle into island time. And I'm already settled into although I'm in the mountains right now, but I got my island time clock thing, and I'm not in so much in a hurry. The nice thing is that I'm not biking myself around. I just have to do a Grab. Oh, that is one thing you want. Is there a system like Grab that they have here in Vietnam, that I can make use of in Taiwan? Is it like a similar program where I can order a bike and we can cut through traffic and I can get 5 things done in a day if I'm in Taipei or in another large city? Because I just love being able to, okay, I'm done, and in a half hour I'm where I want to be next. We will see Filipino, Thai, Vietnamese, Indonesian places, all just walking around in one area. Excellent. So Montreal has got a lot of Filipina because basically in the Jewish community, a typical household will have like, if not a live-in Filipino, they're citizens, but they basically work, either they're the nanny to the kids, or they do the housekeeping, or they are a person because the person's elderly and they need like a nurse or like a visit nurse. So there are many variations. So I've been, kibitzing with Filipinas for more than 30, 40 years, primarily because my clientele is in the Jewish community. Bicycles? I'm not sure what I said about bicycles. No, motorbikes. Like Grab is a motorbike taxi. So it's like Uber, you just plug in the address, the phone GPS says where you are, the motorcycle guy arrives, you put on the helmet he gives you, and he already knows where you're going, and your credit card is already in the app, so you don't even have to exchange any money. It's like that. Yes. And the thing is that it's more than just somebody who cleans somebody's toilets, right? They're actual intelligent people, and they have opinions, and they're regular people when you see them. And so I've had things that were offered to me, like this kind of purple rice that they have, and there was something that happened in the news back home where a young Filipino kid who was in kindergarten has his school lunch, and they do not have forks. They have, the knives. They use a spoon and a fork. And he was admonished by his teacher for not using a knife. He was using his spoon in lieu of a knife, and that's how he was raised. That's how they do it. So it was a teaching moment for the rest of the population when it hit the news, because the lady had to take it up to the school board saying, hey, my son is being abused and mistreated by an ignorant CUNT because she doesn't know anything. Never have been a motorcycle taxi, but I would do that because it's too dangerous on a bike here. All right, well, like in Bangkok, that was the first time I took a motorbike taxi in 2005. But when I got to Vietnam, there's a whole setup. But there is a great taxi app, and taxis are really. Okay, so it's like a car taxi. But motorbike taxis, they can zip through bottlenecking. So I don't know why it's not in Taiwan, but hey, it is what it is. I guess because you have the trains and stuff, but it just means that, let's say, the longest part of your trip, let's say if you have to take one train, then another train, and then you need to take some kind of transportation, if it's a taxi, to your destination. But because of local traffic, if you had been on the back of the bike as a passenger, you could save yourself another 10 minutes, is my point. There's a great... So yes, I will look into that. And it would be nice if I could get ahead of time, so I'll just download it on my phone and then give it my credit card information, and then I can be off and running. So I did pre-order from iVisit, and I did also, because I have two phones, I ordered the one box, and then I looked at the 7-Eleven opens at 9. My plane arrives at 7 in the morning or 5 in the morning. And the kiosk, there's two of them in the airport for iVisit. They open at 7, so they open earlier. So I said, okay, I'll pick it up from there. And so I have the Wi-Fi box, and I also have one SIM card or two. I can't remember. I think I just got one for the phone. I'm not sure. So that way, if I need to make calls and stuff, because no Taiwan person would take. Okay, so it's a cultural thing. Understood. You know, it's interesting here because in Hanoi, is when I first got introduced to motorbike taxis. When a young woman is a passenger on the back of a motorcycle taxi, more often than not, they will sit on the back side saddle because it's unladylike to sit, you know, like a cowboy. But actually, you get a mixture of two. But I think it has to do with perceptions and, oh, if you sit like that, it's either because you're already married and nobody cares, or, you know, you're of marrying, you know, your reputation is unsullied if you're riding side saddle. Thank you, MJ. So I think I got my SIM card thing, and it's good for a month, and I'm there for 2 weeks, so it's fine. The price is fine. So yes, and then there's the thing about the running around money, because there are places that will accept your card, but little shops, night markets and stuff, it's better for cash. So I will get running around from the ATM, but for instance, as an example, in Vietnam, like in Hanoi, there is a place called Hang Back. So it's all of these little jewelry shops. And they, you know, have like nice glass doors, and then you can go to the back of the shop, and there you will find a list of, okay, for Canadian dollars, this is what we're doing the rate for today. European euros, British pounds, American dollars. So if you have like larger denominations, you get a better rate. Yes, I've seen side saddle riders in Thailand. Yeah. So the thing is that I'm assuming Taiwan is the same thing. You might get a better rate, or it's not. You go to the bank to get the best rate. You know, I guess every country is different. So I just going to want to know if there's a particular district where it's jewelers like they have here in Hanoi, where you'll get the best exchange rate. And that way you can have your running around money. You just have to go to that place once or twice. Because if you're going from a major center to like out in the sticks where you can't get it is a cash society. Okay, so I'm better off picking the right place to get the maximum amount of exchange rate, and then doing it like that. So those are my little checklists, and once it's out of the way and processed, and I can just focus on eating and you know, having fun. Cheers. That's what I read on TripAdvisor. But you can't always have that as the authority in the room. I would like to defer to somebody who's like living there long term to say, oh no, but you need, you know, so if that's what you say, then the TripAdvisor info is correct. And it's not like how it works here in Vietnam, where you get the best rates from established jewelry stores. Okay. Have you been to Cambodia? And the reason I'm asking is when I was there in 2005, there's this peculiar thing about crumpled old US bills that will get refused if you try to pay for them, like a $5 US bill or something. They will come back extremely polite, very like almost there, like transgressing, and say, do you have another bill? It's so funny. Bills have to be crisp, and like it's just a really cute thing that is still apparently alive and well in Cambodia, but you don't really see it in Thailand or Vietnam, or maybe even in Laos. Okie doke. Right. So I'll just get enough to get me in case I need to spend for something. Because sometimes it's a 3% charge on whatever the amount it is, and then there might be extra fees. And then I have to determine which card gives me a better advantage. I might not have the fee for a particular card. No Thai allowed, but not Cambodia. Okay. So yeah, I guess they have a thing where they might have, counterfeit money and how they associate like crumpled bills or old bills with, they can't use it. So it's got to be, no one would take U.S. cash here. I don't have U.S. cash either. I have some at home, but I haven't needed it. No, I have Canadian. I hope that won't, and I assume that's, if I go to the bank, of course, and larger denominations are preferred. And they're not crumpled. When you were in Laos, they kept giving me U.S. prices because yeah. You get clever. It's like, no, I want local price, not guaylo, and I say guaylo because I realize that it's a pejorative, but I kind of I think it's cute, and I realize it's in the context, and guilty, guaylo. Don't give me the guaylo price. Yeah, and this is a nice thing about Vietnam. Like eateries like this will take your morsel. And you'll even have like little small mom and pop businesses that'll have like this cute little gadget that your card fits in, and you can put in your PIN number, and purchase approved. But there is this little thing where they add 3% on top of the processing fee because they lose 3% with, and it's 5% if it's American Express. So if you're not running around with American Express, they would prefer you don't pull it out. And American Express people, well, they don't really care because they go to 5 stars establishments anyway. But it's very although cash is great, and yes, you always ask for prices in the denominations, and that rings a little ding 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 bell. If somebody's quoting me in American dollars, it's like, oh, you're really after to maximize your margin, and can you fault somebody? But I tend to prefer to do business with people that will just give me the straight local currency. And I haven't had too many run-ins with lost in translation instances where that's the one thing about Taiwan with taxis and restaurants and most everywhere. There are no foreigner prices except Taipei night markets. Okay. So what would be good is you go with a local, and then you'll know, your local pal will know whether you're being, egregiously stiffed. Back in Montreal, we had a small Chinese Chinatown, and there were these wonderful shops. You walk in, there's incense burning, there's these dangling things, there's like these huge ceramic food dog guardians at the entrance to the store, and then all of these little imported things, silk covered boxes, all kinds of tchotchkes, knickknacks, and whatnots. You can get tonics like a tiger this, tiger that. Where am I going with this? And I seem to, like, some of my earliest mentions of Taiwan is this after 1949. It's Chiang Kai-shek, right? So there's this big exodus, I guess, out of mostly Beijing, and I'm gathering they brought all the like the royal jewels, all the treasures, over to Taiwan, and then it kind of like got. So I'd love to go and see the museums, but I love like these really well crafted, these really well conceived antiques. Whether they're in furniture, whether they're simple things like brush holders carved out of Van Valley, I believe that's the name of the rosewood that is not only, it looks beautiful, but it has a fragrance. And I know that sometimes certain things are like when they're in a private collection, you can never see them unless you get invited, if you're so lucky to get invited into. And early on, like in my early 20s, is when I decided to be an objects conservator or restorer. And it was a lucky choice for me because that skill set was really lacking in the place where I was at in Montreal. And there was a real need for it, like people who had, European things and Asian things, things like from the last century that were either inherited or were acquired from, antiquing because they lost everything in the Second World War. Happened to a lot of misplaced Jews where they were affluent and they left with nothing. And so, they like what they like. So they want the sterling, mahogany case with all the cutlery, and everything had to be replaced. So I've always been fascinated whenever I would come across really beautiful, well-crafted ceramics, cinnabar, ivory, bronze, all these wonderful, tortoiseshell, all these wonderful materials, and you put them all together and you make things of beauty. So yes, I'm going to make a point of hopefully maximizing my visit to just come across, either go peruse through some of the antique shops or maybe choose the right museums to go and check out. So that's one thing about taxis, except for Taiwan night markets. And for me, because I address them in Chinese. Okay. So yes. So until you open your mouth, that's when the thing. Okay, I'm not dealing with a guy who's just here for 2 days, and we're gonna, cha-ching. Okay. Mm-hmm. There are probably some good enzymes in dragon fruit, like they have in pineapple and other types of things that help your digestion. So I'm going to eat this. I've been in the north, I've been in the middle, and I've been in the south. And I've noticed that everything that grows from this soil, it just comes out with, it tastes great, it's got nutrients. It's like, back home you can't have a tomato that tastes just as good. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess you get a lot of instances when you can hear people talking about you or talking about other people and thinking, well, you don't know what the fuck you're saying, so they can be as frank, which is nice. It's obviously refreshing. I've seen at this YouTube, he's a New Yorker and he's like a linguist. What they call it? He can speak many languages. Or for him, it's in a couple of weeks and he's already speaking in very old Tibetan dialects, and he goes to a shop and then he's wearing like a thing with characters and they're kind of talking about him, and then he gives it back to them and saying, oh, and then they all like are shocked. How do you know what we're saying? So yeah, I enjoy instances like that because I can speak French. Sometimes I can eavesdrop on conversations, and you know when people are being judgmental because they figure, well, nobody's gonna know what we're saying, and then you're going, oh my god, embarrassed. Yeah, I have a Taiwanese accent. Okay, so I guess you get several instances of things like that when it is assumed you don't understand. All right, it's 11. In fact, it's not as overcast as it was yesterday. So yes, I'm going to spark up the search engine for DaLat and look at things to do. So the advantage I have with the motorcycle taxi system that's here called Grab is I can save time, and all I need is an address, and you know, because the GPS works, they know how to find me. So they arrive within 5 minutes or less. Well, you know, sometimes you need something to provoke them, right? Like, let's say if you're wearing some idiotic T-shirt that has characters, but it says something that it turns you into the joke, and you're in a convenience store, and the two are going, oh, look at this guy, he's wearing, does he know what he's wearing, kind of thing. I've seen some YouTube setups like that where I guess the guy did it on purpose in order to elicit a reaction, in order to make for an entertaining meeting of cultures. But then, you know, they all become great friends and stuff because they can kind of kibitz. But taken aback. I can see that. You're not this. Yes. Shirley. No. Don't call me Shirley. Shirley, you jest. So yes. So I know it's better to have to pay in the local currency, and luckily I've been in Vietnam enough to have gotten settled. But I love my currency app because I already have it preset to US dollars, Canadian dollars, Vietnamese dong, Taiwanese dollars, and Japanese yen. So on my flight back, I have a 12-hour layover in Narita. And prior to leaving, you know, tourism, the borders were closed, so there was no way you could leave the airport. And I'm hoping that I can do like a free tour from the airport because I'm there at 6 in the morning, and my plane leaves at 6 in the evening. So it'd be a perfect to avail myself of a free tour if it's being offered, to go in around that little township of Narita. So I'm hoping I can do that. That's what happened when we were going to several cross-cultural things going on for sure. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, when I left Vietnam in 2020, I ended up with a 10-hour something layover in Seoul, Korea, never been. And arriving there, it was like, oh, there's a free tour. So yeah, I had lunch in Seoul. I can't remember the name of the borough that I was in, but yeah, I was able to buy some ink because I bought a little ink well in Hanoi, but I needed an ink stick, so I was able to get that in Seoul, and yeah, just shop around and have lunch and then back to the airport. I hate waiting for 12 hours just to get a next flight, so I'm hoping that the tour will be in fact, because it'll be March 1st when I return. Yeah. Yeah, so I think Japan is open now. So I don't think Dave would have left for Singapore had it not been, unless, you have to undergo quarantine and all that other stuff. But yeah, the big difference between this 2-month holiday compared to the other one is that from the second day I arrived in 2020, I came down with a cold that I must have gotten germs on the Air Qatari flight on the way to Hanoi. And I swear that cold lingered for longer than a month, so it was like a stupid albatross that, I had to ask for like 3 ginger teas a day just to for it to be bearable. So I'm so happy. Well, I wore a mask on the flight over this time around, but I'm so glad I did not catch a cold on this, second day here, because it really did put a damper on my ability to enjoy myself. I do. Oh, okay. I was in a shop yesterday and I was wondering, I said, well, I actually did some pricing and it was pretty pricey, and I can't remember the name of the thing. I might have taken a photograph. See if it's on this phone. It might be on my other phone. But I was price comparing and I realized I wasn't going to impulse buy, because I thought, you know what, I'm going to Taiwan, and there's probably, because of, the whole trade, there's so much more trade going on, that there's probably better pricing either in the duty free or you're pricing like locally even. So my brother is more of a whiskey aficionado because he golfs and he has friends and stuff like that. I'm not so much a people person, but I do love my occasional single malt, and it's a learning thing. But I know enough to be, I love 21-year-old, and I know they cost more, but I don't drink that much. So, but I was wondering whether or not you were a single malter. I gather you are. So yeah, it would have been a mistake to pick up a bottle and say, here, I'll hand this over to MJ. I realized that no, you're better off shopping in Taiwan itself. Yes, I do. And the thing is that there was this one time where a client gave me a tumbler of Isle of Islet, and this is a very smoky single malt, and I think he was trying to get me a little, what they say in vino in veritas, it was like it causes people to loosen their tongue. Glenroy, 10 years old, is $30. Okay. I know Glenfiddich, and that to me was like considered, like the entry kind of type of thing. But I'm too cool for Glenfiddich. There is also a shop I'll take you that will blow your mind. Oh yes, I love SM. Yeah, single malts. Okay, so I was given a tumbler of this Isle of Islet, and actually, luckily, because I had to drive, and I wasn't going to refuse, because this guy was running the consulate for the Nigerians in Montreal, so he's somebody who was very important. And but I always wondered what was behind that, because it was like it was pushed on me, and. But the thing is, 2 days later, I'm burping and I'm still getting echoes of the smoky. So that really sells it. The thing is that like an Isle of Islet smoky single malt is great if you're having cigars with your cigar buddies and you want something that balances out. But there's a range between it's too peaty or not peaty enough, and it's just slightly smoky but not like way smoky. So I'm just not all that. I just love the smooth, aged single malts, the ones that like just go down like that, and a couple, and I'm great. I'm good. So whether it's a Balvenie or a Lagavulin or and I should actually get some better names in my roster of yes, I want one of those, please. Yes, 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 and yes. So there you go. Okay, well, I'll see what we can see. Is there an advantage in the duty free, or in Taiwan there's no? Don't even bother. It's not going to make any difference. Because you might get some select things there. Was I looking for something? Oh yeah, I was looking for that boutique. So no, it was on my other phone. Okay, so you're saying here when you're outside of the airport and outside of the duty-free zone, you can even get cheaper, is the distinction I'm trying to make. Because I never fall into the duty-free trap, at least in all of the... no, the duty-free shops have super rare stuff, but the prices are very high. Okay, so now I know the lay of the land. So if it's like super rare and stuff like that, oh, excuse me, then it makes a difference, but you pay for it. I've seen whiskeys at the airport I've only heard about, never seen. Okay, I see. All right. Well, then you're saying out in Taipei and the larger cities, you'll be well served if you're on the hunt for stuff, and then some. So that sounds like fun. Trying to see what's on NBC. Alrighty, MJ. Sometimes they have deals. Okay. So I will get on with my day. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do, but I'm on kind of like island time, so not too concerned about that. And I know I can get to wherever it is I need to be a lot quicker than a lot of other places. So we're going to terminate this broadcast. Not far from your home is a shop that has stuff like Lagavulin. Yeah, exactly, that is very reasonable. Very reasonable, because back home you'll have to add like another $60 in order to get the equivalency. But that's just the way things are, and like because of the amount of times I either get something as a gift or as a treat, it's worth that extra expenditure. So yeah, it's been great connecting with you, and I did take a couple of screenshots of things that I will look into. And we're already the 12th, so I got like 2 days to decompress once I arrive, and I could like do my little wanderings around Taipei before I need to take that early train head out to where you are at. So I like the timing of everything that is how it's going to unfold. Yeah, I got a ton of studio work. Okay. Yes, no procrastinating. All right. Hopefully you can get a productive day underway. So we'll continue this at some future time. It's great getting to know you as well. Bye for now. And replay viewers, this terminates our broadcast, but stay tuned for more. Thanks for coming in. Bye.